Hey guys, what's happening? It is time for the long-awaited summer 2015 anime discussion. Um, you know, as you guys know, the fall anime season has already begun. However, it's time to peel back a couple layers and talk a little bit about, what we just witnessed a couple weeks ago. And you know, I've been so busy that it's only now that I can actually make this video. So here are the eight. There are eight separate. There are eight different series that I will be including in the rankings. What we're going to be talking about are rankings in different areas, like say best anime, worst, etc., um, among other small factors. So without further wait, that's not what I want to say. I do. Let's get into this. All right. So the summer season. Let's start with um, let's start with the best anime opening. Now, uh, I'm gonna be talking about the top four because when it comes to top three, I could not pick a number three, um, which is tied between Overlord's opening and Monster Musume no Ironichi Joe's. I know earlier in the season, you guys might have heard me say that Overlords was definitely at number three, but in terms of overall addictiveness, I would say Monster Musume's really takes the cake. Um, but the visuals are better in Overlords, but they're so much more fitting in Monster Musume. So there's a lot that's going on in both that's better than one another, and I just could not choose which one to put over the other. So I have them tied for third. Um, Number two is Gangsta's opening. Gangsta's opening, Renegade, was brilliant. The visuals, they worked for the setting, um, sort of that dark tone with like that colorful ink type of visual. It worked. It looked cool. But but let's be honest, guys. The thing that makes this number two is the song. It gets so fucking catchy and addictive after the first couple times you've heard it. It's unbelievable. So Gangsta, I mean, number two, easy. But you guys already know. If Gangsta's number two, the best opening of the season is Shokugeki no Soma's second opening. It's so fucking good. Like, visually, it's the best. That is something that, to me, is incontestable. Is visually of the eight openings that I've seen uh, this season, visually, this one had it by far. And I also think this was the best song of the eight. And just to reiterate, here are the eight series. We have Dragon Ball Super, we have Ushio Totora, episodes 1 to 13. We have Overlord, Gangsta, Prison School, Monster Musume, Shimoneta, and Shokugeki no Soma, episodes the second half, so episode 14 to 24 or whatever, 13 to 24, whichever you prefer. Um, to me, it doesn't matter much, but yeah. So Shokugeki no Soma takes it on both fronts, both the song and the visuals, hands down. As good as Gangsta's opening is, I do not find it as good as this one. It's just it's too good. It's just too fucking good. So first, the winner of the first category, Shokugeki no Soma. So now that we've talked about openings, now I guess we have to talk about endings. Now, I have to be honest, this season did not feature that many good ending songs. Um, I think I didn't really stay for many of them. I think the only ones that I were even remotely um, worthwhile for me, Dragon Ball Super is up there. I think even Monster Musume is up there a little bit, even though I didn't care for it that much. I like the feel to it because it was sung by Smith and Gang, so um, and it was a tribute to Smith, so I did like that a lot. But overall, I mean, I think by far the best ending was from Overlord. Um, it might be batshit when you look at the lyrics, but the song is fucking addictive. It's catchy as hell. Um, the visuals are fine. They're nothing to sneeze at, but they're also nothing spectacular. So, you know, visually, like, it's all about Albedo, which is fine. Love Albedo. But the song is what puts it above everything else. So I don't really have a top three. I mean, I guess you could say um, number one is Overlord, two is Super, and three is Monster Musume. Um, Super's ending was okay. I mean, it was palpable at least, but not nearly as good as the ending to Overlord. So there we go. So let's talk about the funniest anime. This season was full of hilarity overload. Let's say that right now. Um, you know, Anime like Dragon Ball Super and Ushio Totoro weren't really as funny, and Gangsta had its moments, but ultimately it was more serious. However, everything else was hilarious in its own right. Um, I would say it's hard to put him into rankings because um, Shokugeki no Soma, as serious as it was at times, was just an absolute piss. Prison School was not serious at all. Well, rarely was serious, but it was hilarious. Monster Musume was just off the chain. Um, but and Overlord wasn't that funny either. But I got to give it up to Shimoneta. Shimoneta has the best, or it has the best comedy. It is the funniest anime. I I laughed the hardest at Shimoneta's jokes, um, and more consistently. That you got to watch it. I don't want to spoil any of the scenes to people who haven't watched Shimoneta and are looking for a good laugh. Um, the jokes that they make are on point. They're clever, but they're also nasty as shit. It's beautiful. I'll just say that. Definitely give it a shot. Best animation, Shokugeki no Soma, hands down, hands fucking down. Uh, we had Madhouse doing Overlord. We had JC Staff doing Prison School, and I think Shimoneta. I forget exactly. I know JC Staff did another one besides Shokugeki. Um, Gangsta was well animated. Rest in peace, Afterglow or whatever it was. Anime Globe, whatever they're called. Rest in peace, guys. You guys went bankrupt, but you guys did a good job on Gangsta, animation wise. Ushio Totoro is beautiful. Dragon Ball Super at times can be beautiful, at other times can look like a third grader's drawings. Uh, it might have been Monster Musume is what JC Staff did, the other one. But they're all pretty good animations. But visually, Shokugeki no Soma by far was the best. Um, just color wise and animation wise. So for me, it's incontestable again. So let's talk about the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise for me was Shimoneta. Um, I had high hopes for Shokugeki no Soma from the start because I love the manga. And when the anime started, I knew, from the first half that they were going to do a great job on the second half of the season. Um, that Super, I didn't have high expectations to begin with, and it didn't disappoint, I guess. It didn't let me down because I didn't have high expectations from the beginning, and it wasn't that good. Ushio Totoro was okay. Overlord, a lot of people talked about Overlord, and it was fine. It was good. Gangsta was not much of a surprise. It seemed like good from the start. Prison School was definitely a surprise, but not as much. Monster Musume is a close second because it seemed very shallow, but it turned out to be really, really good. But Shimoneta by far was the best surprise because just because of how funny it was. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, um, or as clever. So there's that. Um, so before we get into the anime rankings in total, let's talk about the season in general, like some general discussion things. Um, I think it was diverse. The season was diverse, but it was also the season of the ecchi. That's that much we can say for absolute certainty. Um, Shimoneta, Monster Musume, Prison School, and very elements of Shokugeki no Soma were all had like fan servicey, ecchi type of things. Ushio Totoro, Overlord Gangsta, and Super not as much. But so it's like half of them, of the ones that I watched at least, were very, very risque. And Bikini Warriors, which I never saw, but I've heard a lot about, was also sort of like that. I've seen pictures, so I do know that that was also sort of like an ecchi, even though it wasn't, as far as I know. Um, I think, you know, the season overall had my enjoyment because it gave me a lot more than I was expecting. Because going into the season, I didn't know what to do because I just lost JoJo, I just lost Kuroko no Basket, Fate Stay Night was over, so um, those three were big staples, as you guys know if you've been following us for a while. Um, and so like I wanted to replace them with something, and in fact I ended up watching more this season than last season, um, which is definitely a surprise for me, because I didn't expect to replace it with that many things that were solid. Um, so that being said, let's go into the anime rankings, and then I'll go into my final thoughts. So we're going from worst to best. So number 8, the worst. You guys already know. Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super was not a disappointment for me. For many people, it was, because a lot of people were expecting the same quality of writing that Z had, or the original Dragon Ball had. Um, it neither has the quality of writing nor the charm. Um, it's it literally retold and is still retelling the Battle of the Gods movie to the effect of twice to three times as long, with unnecessary details, unnecessary dragging out, and poor animation at times. Uh, just overall, I mean, it's not very good right now. I'm laying it down. I mean, we're going to review the Battle of the Gods saga for Super when it's over, so you guys can look forward to that maybe, or not if you guys are like, this shit is epic, because we're gonna probably shit on it pretty hard. But you know, that takes the lowest spot, and it was not even a question for me. Number 7, Ushio Totora. Ushio Totora was a good season. I enjoyed it, but compared to the rest of the list, sans Dragon Ball Super, it wasn't as good. I really do. It kind of reminds me of Inuyasha, the whole yokai thing. It reminds me a lot of Inuyasha, and like I said, the animation is really good for Ushio Totora. The opening's good. There's a lot that's good about Ushio Totora, but as far as how interesting it is compared to the rest, it falls to 7, simply because everything else is just that much better. And by the way, my rankings are also are not just based on what I think is better. It's I'm weighing my enjoyment um, over objective um, goodness or badness. Just because I think I watched this season to be uh, I watched this season for enjoyment purposes, not exactly objectively good purposes. So um, yeah, Usho Totoro number 7, number 6, Overlord. Again, Overlord was pretty good. If you saw my Overlord anime season review, you know that I enjoyed the heck out of Overlord. It was quite good, and by the end, it got even better. However, again, the same thing as Ushio Totoro. Everything else just had my interest, more of my interest. I found that Overlord and Monster Musume no Iro Nichijou came out on the same day, and I found that I was more hyped out for the next Monster Musume episode than Overlord, um, simply for the fact that I enjoyed the latter or the former more. So, with that being said, Overlord number 6. That's by no means an insult because again, this is a very strong list. Um, I could go on for a long time about how strong this list really was. Number 5, Gangsta. That might be a shocker to a lot of you. I really enjoyed Gangsta. It was a great anime. Rest in peace, Animation Company. But you know, again, it's the same problem as Overlord and Ushio Totoro. As far as this season goes, if you can't tell by now, I enjoyed the comedic aspects more than I enjoyed the action-packed aspects of uh, the anime of the season. So that's definitely a thing. You'll find that the rest of, I mean, if you know the candidates by now, since I told you, you guys can tell what four are in the latter four, the hierarchy in the hierarchy. So, um, I think of the more serious um, action sort of ones, Gangsta was the best. But as far as enjoyment goes, it was not. It was not the best. So here's where I had quite the dilemma, picking between Prison School and Monster Musume no Iru Nichijou. But number 4 goes to Prison School. And Prison School was absolutely fucking hilarious. If you saw my Prison School review, you would know why. But um, some of the things that held it back for me compared to Monster Musume were that sometimes it made me cringe at some of the things that were happening. Not necessarily the ecchi stuff, but more so like just the fact that the guys got screwed over as much as they did. Um, just kind of it kind of hurt at some point. Like even if that's the point, it sort of took away just a fraction of my enjoyment from it, even if it was a small fraction. To me, that was enough to put it below Monster Musume no Iru Nichijou, which is number 3. Um, which I think I laughed more, slightly more, and slightly harder at Monster Musume. There's not much to say like between the two because like I watched both of those with the full intent that I was going to watch them as they were presented. As you guys know, if you watched any of my live reactions to either. But Monster Musume, I think I laughed slightly harder and slightly more. Um, as far as the characters, I think the characters were more or less like about even with how likable they were, except I would say Monster Musume had a little bit more um, quantity of likable characters, and um, I guess of the two, it's hard to say which was the best character, but I think in terms of quantity, Monster Musume had a little bit more of the most enjoyable. So, number 2, Shimoneta. Yes, of all of the pure ecchi ones, I thought Shimoneta was the best. But you guys already knew that because Shimoneta I already ranked as the funniest anime of the season. And that alone put it at number 2 because I could not wait on Saturdays for this to come out because it was so friggin' funny. I just couldn't wait to see what they would do next. And that is what you want as an author of anything is where somebody cannot wait for Saturday to come to see what kind of strange and hilarious thing they're going to do next or say next. Um, Anna, I mean, whatever she was going to do next, whatever Ayame was going to say next, Fua, the same thing. Um, there's so many likable characters. Just the stupid situational crap with Okuma and Goriki. I mean, there was always something going on that was just hilarious, and it was so clever too. Sometimes, a lot of times they would subtly show phallic imagery, where if you weren't paying enough attention, you wouldn't see it, but if you were, you would. So like there was always something going on in Shimoneta, and it was always hilarious. So that's number 2. You guys already know. Number 1, Shokugeki no fucking Soma. The truth. The truth. That shit trumped everything this season. Hands down. If you were to ask me last season, no. I would have put it at number 2 or probably number 2 because JoJo's that season blew my fucking mind. But that's just because JoJo blew my fucking mind. This season of Shokugeki no Soma was also amazing. Even though, and last season was also as well. But this 13 episodes were great, or 12 episodes, whichever. Um, I mean, everything. The soundtrack was, I mean, the same. The animation, again, was the best. The opening was the best. The ending being awful, but that's besides the point. Um, introducing great characters like Hayama, maintaining characters like Yukihiro Soma, Kurokiba, Alice, Megumi, the Aldini brothers, Nikumi. There's just so many. There's so many great characters. The plot was amazing. The autumn election. Prelims. There's there's so much going on. There was hilariousness that was able to rival an ecchi this season, and yet story that matched and surpassed all the serious shit this season. And so, like, and it meshed together so well. And so, JC Staff, man, you guys did a hell of a job. But you guys, if you've seen my Shokugeki no Soma review, you already know that. I blew smoke up their ass like insane amounts. So, number 1, Shokugeki no Soma, the truth. That shit was awesome. So, now you guys know my also objectively the best and also subjectively the best for me. Um, so, for me, there's no question at all at what was number 1. Um, the harder ones were, figuring out 4 and 3, and then I think the rest kind of just fell into place. So, final thoughts on the anime season. The summer anime season I miss already, and we're about a week or two into the next season, the fall season. Um, I've already picked up. I've picked up Haikyuu second season, One Punch Man, and Heavy Object, along with Uchiho Totoro's second season and Dragon Ball Super second season. So um, I got about 5 things going on um, compared to the 8 that I had for this season. I'm already starting to miss it because the season, summer season was just fantastic. It gave me many laughs and just many like awesome moments. Like I can't put it any better. It was a fantastic ride. And so um, you know, tell me what you guys think. Hopefully you guys agree, or even if you don't, that's fine. Tell me what your favorite thing of the season was. What your least favorite thing was. Do you agree with my list? Any other categories you might think of that I might answer on the YouTube comments. It doesn't matter. So that's it, guys. Um, I have one final send off to give this anime season, but before then, um, just want to say, see ya 2015 anime season for the summer, and hello, fall season.